Hey everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in this afternoon. I'm Kaylee Ray, and I'm the on-campus employment specialist for Careers Services. And we are joined this afternoon by Phil Wilkerson, who is an employer engagement consultant in our office, and he's going to be talking all about how students can use LinkedIn. So I'm going to turn it over to Phil.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Kaylee, for that wonderful introduction, and thank you for this opportunity to talk about LinkedIn. And so, I see that this is going to be geared toward the students and very student-led. So you have a few questions that you're going to ask me. But I'm going to start off before I start off diving into LinkedIn and sharing tips. I want to share a little story with you and those that are watching this later. So think of this story. How many of y'all seen Moana? Moana with the Wayfinder. So in that story, right, Moana, wants to go from the islands to island and she's navigating the waters, right? Well, that story is actually based in reality. It's not there is a cultural aspect that is reality of the Polynesian culture of island jumping or island hopping. And so in that culture, they would go on the same ships as that movie, very small boats with the sails, and go from island to island, actually sailing over thousands and thousands of miles, right? Without a motor, without anything, just the wind and the sails and all that. So picture this story. There's a student and there's a teacher. The student is getting ready for this journey, similar to Moana, to go out to sea. Is going further and further out, getting their maritime techniques, in order, learning about it, looking at the stars, really navigating it. And she goes to the teacher and says, "Hey, teacher, you see me getting ready. And I'm ready to go on this journey. You see me working, you see me practicing." And the teacher says to that student, "Okay, I see you working. Tell me where Tahiti is." And the student's like, "I've never been to Tahiti. Like, I have no clue." And so then they're like, "All right, well, that doesn't help. Go back and practice." Goes back, frustrated, keeps on practicing, tying knots, knots, not notes, knots, spearing fish, learning all the techniques. Comes back, says, "You see me getting ready. I'm confident. I know what I'm doing. I'm not scared of this journey. I'm ready to go out there." And the teacher says to him, or her, sorry, to this woman, "Where's Tahiti?" "I don't know." She's like, "All right, well, you're not ready yet. Go back, practice some more." Come back, frustrated, just I'm grumbling, saying, "I'm gonna show that person I know what I'm doing, da 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 da." Goes back one more time, says, "I'm tired of this. I'm ready to go. I've had dreams about this and visions." And the teacher says, "Dreams. Interesting. So tell me where Tahiti is." And the student finally says, "It's in my mind." And then the teacher says to them, "You're finally ready to go." So why do I share this story about knowing the destination or knowing what you have in mind? Well, because integral to LinkedIn, before you start the process of updating your LinkedIn or utilizing it to connect with jobs, connect with resources, connect with anyone, you have to have the vision of what you're trying to do first. That is step one. I usually tell people before you go on this big LinkedIn brand refresh, what you want to do, what your headshot and all those things, you need to have a destination of where you want to go in mind, because then you will craft a profile and create content that aligns with that. Think of LinkedIn as a map, a treasure map. And with that treasure map, you're filling it in as you go along, right? And also LinkedIn, you're as you get lost and figure out, you erase it and try new places, right? So think of that. Like, one of the things I always share with people before we go into a LinkedIn dive is I say, okay, where do you want to go? What is the purpose of you using this platform? And also, additionally, besides the purpose of using this platform, let's look at yourself first before we even update it, right? So I usually have a branding sheet, like a little worksheet that I give to students to ask them about the educational background, the jobs and internships and things they already had, their skills, the things that they're good at. And I have them fill out that branding guide, because that's going to serve as your rubric for when you actually fill in your profile. And so whoever's watching this first, I want you to do 3 things on a piece of paper before you even look at your LinkedIn. I want you to say, what is the purpose of this profile? It could be as far as the Tahiti, like your grand goal, I want to be president of Mason or university, or it could just be the very immediate purpose, I want to get a job in X industry. either way, you have just don't be, you can make it as daunting and as ambitious as you want, but you need to have a purpose, right? Then secondly, after you write down your purpose for this LinkedIn profile, I want you to at least write down 3 skills that you have. 3 skills. They could be tangible skills, things that you know, computers and things like that, or they can be what we call soft skills or transferable skills. So leadership, communication, whatever. Just write it down on a piece of paper. Things that you wholeheartedly believe in without a shadow of a doubt that you're good at. That's another one. Another thing you write down, I like the law of 3. 3 words to describe yourself. Adjectives: positive, funny, smart, kind, whatever. Write this down because that is going to be your brand, your personal brand. So write down these words. Another one is 3 projects that you worked on, things that you've done from start to finish. They don't have to only be academic projects. They could be community-oriented projects, things that you know that you had to lead a team or put things together and it had a beginning or end, right? Maybe use STAR method, right? Situation, task, action, whatever. But you have 3 examples of those at least. And then lastly, kind of going along with that daunting purpose part, is I want you to understand, write down my impact on the community will be, and write down what you believe your impact on the community will be. Community is a very broad term, so you can say, think about it as your school community, like my impact at George Mason. You can say your office, my impact at George Mason Career Services. You can say your home, my impact on the Wilkerson family, your church, whatever. You can insert community as whatever it is, but just say that you're going to have some form of impact on that community. To give you an example, I said for me that my impact is I'm going to be a placeholder within the Mason community that is known for supporting Black and Brown students and also being a positive change. So no matter what's said and done, that at the end of my time at Mason, I'm going to be impactful, particularly to the students that look like me, and I'm going to leave an impact. I say that because now, as I curate content and I go back to it, I try to think of myself when I write stuff or write words. Do I say, does this align with that? Like, is this impactful in a positive way? Like, almost like social media. Like, would I say this? Would this have a negative effect? Does this bring people down? Does this uplift people? So having those words in my mind allows me to curate content. So that's a little bit of the spiel to get started. But Kaylee, let's go through the questions. I'll share a screen and we'll actually go through the questions that were prepared by the students.
Wonderful, wonderful. Can do. So we're going to start with some questions about logistics for LinkedIn first, and then we're going to go more specifically into networking and trying to make those connections on LinkedIn as well. So our first logistical question, is it true that LinkedIn is mostly for people with experience and it is not a beginner-friendly platform to search for job opportunities?
False, largely false. LinkedIn is for people at all realms of the job seeking process. So it's great for beginners as a great sourcing tool. So if you don't have a lot of experience on your own to put on your profile, we're going to talk about this later. This is a great sourcing tool to look at ways to get experience or look at other people's profiles or connect with them for informational interviews. So it's a great space for the actual beginner. It's a great space for the established professional. So just keeping in touch with like-minded professionals or people that are lateral to you. It's a great platform for that. It's also a great platform for promoting the stuff that you're doing laterally. So that's a great place. And then it's a great space for career switchers. So people starting different careers to learn. And then lastly, it's even a good place for people that are already retired that want to give back to the industry or field. So on the gambit, LinkedIn, I say that first statement is false. It's for everybody when you, like I said, going back to that purpose, when you know your purpose. So if you're a young professional that doesn't have much experience, put as much as you can on your profile. But we're talking about later how to build meaningful connections to either source, job and internship prospects, or also just give you a roadmap to what you can do. Like you can look at other people's profiles that have gone ahead of you and use them as examples of like, wow, I didn't ever thought about that. So it on the spectrum is everywhere, and we're gonna go into that deeply because I think some questions align about connecting with that, and I can share how as a new professional it will help you in that sense.
Wonderful. Thank you, Phil. And this next one is about creating postings, which you had started to talk about your own experiences with creating your own LinkedIn postings. But a question we got is it important to create posts? And if so, what type of content should we be sharing on our profiles? Should we be highlighting milestones and accomplishments? And if so, how do we choose which ones to be touching on in those
So
posts?
so the answer is yes. Creating content or posting on LinkedIn is what I like to call passive engagement, meaning you're just posting stuff, and by being consistent on it, you build a following, and people just start to gravitate or like your content. I made it a mission myself, and you don't have to do this, but I made it a mission to actually post at least one post a day on LinkedIn. Now, the reason why I said this for myself is that I also took myself as a personal brand, and I made myself a LinkedIn strategy. So if you can't see on this right here is a piece, it's a map. Um, and I'm not a map, sorry, a calendar. This is my December. If you see it's filled in, don't worry about it, it's irrelevant. But I wrote all the themes and posts for my one post a day to be organized. And what I meant by that is that I wanted to have consistency, maybe using some themes, make some like, hashtag feel good Fridays and build a following on my own. I would say the intent of posting on LinkedIn or posting on social media actually has three things I like to do. These are just three categories. You'll hear a lot of content strategists and people that do different things, but this is how I do it. Very simple, right? One thing is to inform. You post to inform, share, something. You post to engage and have dialogue, open-ended questions, or you just post just for, just for fun, just entertainment, basically. And so think of those three ways, right? You post an article. Well, maybe that article is to inform. Maybe the second one, what was the second one I said? Maybe that one is to engage, have a conversation, or a direct call to action, right? Like you post something and you have a link, like register for the career fair, engage, right? And then the third one is just for fun, like you said, those accomplishment, celebratory things. Um, but you should be able to post content in those three different categories all the time. We're doing it all the time. Um, and additionally, we should engage in the content of others. Like I tell people, if you doom scroll, you're already doom scrolling on LinkedIn, on Instagram or Facebook. We're talking about when you just doom scroll and whatever. You should be able to engage in those content and doom scroll for 10 minutes or so on LinkedIn, doing a couple comments, a couple reactions and emojis on other people's content. You'll see that your following will go up, your visibility will go up based on the algorithm. Because even when you comment on someone else, it alerts people that you've like it alerts your contacts that you're contacting, it alerts your contacts that you are commenting on other people's content. So it builds up both the presence of you and the presence of the person that you're commenting on. So I would say law of three, try to think of those things. Try to think of a way to post at least at bare minimum, if you're getting ramped up and you're like, this is not your thing, at least once a week post, and you will see your following go up. Utilizing hashtags, utilizing relevancy, going back to your purpose, going back to the things, what's your thing? Like maybe your post is, I'm interested in learning more about the industry because that was your purpose in the first place. Doing things consistently, write a post. Like I just read about, this article that related to the industry. Share things that, as you do your own career research, that will help build your brand and also help you think of ideas to curate content. Good question.
Wonderful. And a follow up to that as well, since we're talking about how it's important to have an active presence on LinkedIn and engaging with others. When trying to decide how to craft your posts, should it only be professional workplace accomplishments, or can you post personal updates and accomplishments as well?
I've seen mixed messages on this. I think it's aligned to your brand. Maybe like I've seen some people do weddings and stuff. Like when they got married. But I gear toward professionalism myself. But professionalism is loose, meaning like academic accomplishments. That's feel like that's professional. Volunteer service oriented, service organizations. I consider that professional, as well as jobs, job content. So, I think going back to your brand, I've seen a lot of people do personal stuff on there, but they do it on a consistent basis that is their brand to incorporate their whole life and not just their professional life, but they're consistent about it. So I would say if you were someone starting out, maybe at that moment, just gear it toward academics and professionalism, curating content along those lines. Like if you're a PCA, let's say you're a PCA, say, come see me at Career Services. I'm doing my drop-ins. Use that as a time to promote yourself. Or take a picture of yourself and say, I'm really happy. I hit my 6-month mark as a PCA. Celebrate your Mason accomplishments, or even if you can, like I said, academically. I aced that exam on this. I'm really proud of myself. You can promote your academics on that. Or I just completed a project with my group. Share those academic accolades as well. So I would start with that, and then as you, I guess, get more comfortable with the platform, maybe share some other things. But I personally don't feel like no one. I've created a brand of my professionalism on LinkedIn, and I share a little bit more personal stuff on my Instagram and my Facebook. But but sometimes posts overlap. Sometimes I copy and paste the post that I have on Facebook. I share it with my LinkedIn audience too. Because I think that I like to see their engagement on that as well.
Yes, 100%. So as we are posting all of this content, are there any privacy settings to be aware of to
Yes,
protect your personal information from being shared?
yes. So if I can share screen. So one way to like update, like you can see, go to public profile. You can go like this, edit public profile and URL. Click on that
Mhm.
pencil. And then as you can see on this side, right, you can customize your URL, but you can see that your profile's public visibility. You can take it off, but I'm not going to do that. You can put it back on. And you can also say what parts of it is visible. Like, only people that are first degree can see my profile picture. I'm just saying everyone, LinkedIn members or whatever, And then you can go through section by section, which is public for everybody or what's only public for people that actively connect with you. I've seen people that like take off their profile picture and like they just have their name. And then when you add them or they connect with them, then you see their profile picture. You can also do the one that's private where I think there's a way like for someone to connect with you, they have to verify that they know you by sending like by importing your email. So that means that you already met them in a real life place. If they really want to be um, a thing, your profile by adding a badge to your. Let me see. Let's create a badge. All right, I might do that another time. Okay, that's something cool. I never knew that. Maybe you can do badges. So I tinker. I tinker a lot, but I'm not going to do that today. And then, you can upvote some stuff and I don't know. These are just public profile stuff that you
Mhm.
can see. So that's the way that I would edit. So take, just to, break it down where you would go. You would go to your own profile and then you would go to public profile and URL and you can edit all the settings as it relates to your privacy of who sees and who doesn't see your stuff.
Mhm. That's great to know. Thank you so much. And then since we were already kind of talking about our profiles, I want to get into some questions that we had about that. I think specifically it'd be great to go over just what should be on your profile or what to prioritize. I know we talked about some experiences to prioritize, but we also had some questions about how to frame effective headlines and the about me section as well.
Excellent questions. Excellent suggestions. So we'll just go top down. You know, I even got a profile review the other day, and I have some things to update on my own. So even as I, you know, learn, I'm not the knower of all. So I've solicited feedback. But one, starting from top bottom, make this banner cool. You can update that, get a Canva graphic, or just Google. Simply get Google LinkedIn banner graphics, and there has some cool templates already available unless you want to make yours. I love what you said, headline. So this headline right here, what it does is it pulls from your most recent job. That's not fun or exciting. So that's why I asked you earlier, what are the 3 words to describe yourself or your purpose? So you can edit and then you can change your headline to things cool. I think of my law 3. I like that, but I thought of things that I wanted to identify myself as: hired professional, podcast creator, writer. And the thing is, what I'm doing is the algorithm pulls from your entire profile. So if you're aspiring, put that in there. It's going to pull it and say that you're looking to get into an industry. So if you want to be a forensic detective, but you're not one yet, say aspiring forensic, use the word aspiring, put it in your headline. That'll elevate, um, that. So put a bunch of words, that align with you. And then there's this little feature right here that says talks about. I put that in there too somewhere. I don't know how I found it, but it was in there. Like, so I had the little brain, like I talk about these things. Can't remember where I found that, but it's in there.
Mhm.
And then you can add, when I go to click on here, add profile section, you can add more stuff, recommend, courses and things like that. And we'll go down from there. Featured, this is the featured section. So if you say more, like add a profile section, you can say featured. I put a few of my top posts or articles to make them highlighted as featured. So you can do that. And then it automatically has my activities, the next section. And then about me. This is perfect. So for your about me, which is adaptable, I say around 6 to 8 sentences. And the 6 to 8 sentences could be, and you can adapt this. I need to update it now because it's some of my life has changed. But you can put your aspirations, what you're currently doing, things that people do, about you. So like 6 to 8 sentences. My name is Philip. I'm a hired professional. You can read mine right now. Just a little bit about what I'm going through and things like that. But also the words academics and career preparation and words that I want to be identified for and pulled out show up in my summary. And so I'll send Kaylee a LinkedIn tip sheet, but think about it, at least 6 to 8 sentences, well crafted in a paragraph. That'll work. Another thing to think about is work smarter, not harder. The about me section on LinkedIn is the same as my journey on Handshake. Just copy and paste it and put it on both places. All right. Then scrolling down, every position, even though I need to practice what I preach, should have at least 3 bullets, some content. I didn't do it for my most recent job, but I will. But make sure that you have bullets, starting with action verbs. As PCAs, you should be very familiar. Use the same action verbs that you use in that resume guide. So start with action verbs. And also, I need to work on look at making some of these a little bit more called impact statements. So I can add a little bit more quantifiers, right? Like add like how, why, what to make these bullets a little bit more robust. I do that later when I got some time, but at least sharing some content. There shouldn't be anything that does not have bullets. Another thing to think about, education, update your education section. Licenses and certificates. Everyone has a free subscription to LinkedIn Learning. It's lil.gmu.edu. If you watch a video, you can share it on your LinkedIn profile. So make sure that you're watching videos that align with the things you want to do. So watch videos that align with your future goals. Like if you're going to go into finance, watch the Excel for financing LinkedIn Learning video that shows up on your profile. It shows employers that while you don't have that concrete experience, you're actively learning it. So it brands you with those licenses. Projects, as I said, that's why I asked you, put your projects in here. Once again, practice what I preach, Philip. I need to add bullets to my actual volunteer experience, right? I did a few right here, but when I got my LinkedIn review, they said, Philip, you need to add some more bullets. So I'm going to go back when I have time. So practice what I preach. But this is also another section, another opportunity to share what you've done in volunteer capacity, because they're going to pull words from there, if that makes sense. So, I need to practice what I preach, but full content, at least the content's in there. Update the skills. And then one of the biggest things is add recommendations. So let me see, I got any pending recommendations? Oh, those are recommendations for others. So I got recommendations for myself. So I got the ones I received, and then I got the ones that I gave. Now, the way to do that for other people to receive and give is, let's say I go right here. I go to view profile, and then I go to more, and I say request a recommendation. You don't have to do it, but I just want to show you the steps. We worked in the same group. We worked at career services. Boom. And then vice versa. Now, I'll tell you a pro tip. One of my pro tips for LinkedIn recommendations is it's better to give than receive. So give a recommendation of someone else before you ask for one. And the positive thing about LinkedIn is that you can recommend in a 360 model, meaning you can recommend up, saying like, this person was the best supervisor. This person was an awesome director. This person was an awesome mentor. You recommend them, and then you can request one. So that's a great way for branding on your profile, is using the recommendation section. I actually read the recommendations of others. So when I meet someone new on LinkedIn and I go to their page, I go straight to the recommendation section to read what people have said about them. It gives me a good context of their character and whether I want to work with them or not. Publications, like I said, make sure you put those in there. Courses, practice what I preach. These are my grad school courses, but you can put courses that you're taking that are really important to your industry. Awards, not only share it once, share it once with an announcement as a post, but also share the award as an actual award on your page. And then organizations that you're members of, which I need to add more to because I'm also a member of the other organizations. But that is just a general context of going from top to bottom of just ways. The best thing is, they say clear is climb, but also full. Full is good. Like if you have limited experience, then combat that with the experience you have. You have organizations, you have clubs, you have volunteer. So you have things outside the classroom that you can capitalize on besides just your a job or internship.
100% being detailed, and you have the opportunity to expand because it doesn't have to be a certain length. You can use all the space that you want. So really trying to use that space to the best of your ability, and yeah, recommending each other, sharing the love around.
Yes.
Yes, 100%. So that's the end of our logistical questions.
Yeah.
For LinkedIn, but we have a lot on how to network and how to use LinkedIn to excel professionally. So we're going to go into that section. And then those are our last few for our chat this afternoon. So our first question here is, does the number of connections really matter? So yeah.
I mean,
let's
be real. Let's be real. It's not, your network is your net worth and all that jazz. It's not really that serious. It's not the number, it's the quantity. So not the number of connections that matter, but the quality of those ones that you have. So, I mean, I engage with a lot of strangers, but it's better to have engaged and people that follow or post back or that actually post on the LinkedIn profile. It's better to have a lower number than just straight sheer volume. But on the opposite end, though, there is a benefit to having some quantity, like over 100. You know what I'm saying? Like, because then when you post, at least you get more visibility for your post. So it's a yes, and you need to have more than 50 and 100. Like to actually yield. I tell people to actually yield the benefit of LinkedIn, get to at least 1,000 connections. Set that as a very low metric goal, 1,000 connections, but make sure that the connections that you get to hit that 1,000 are not just mass ads, but people that are aligned with your purpose and doing the same things you want to do. So like quality 1,000. I got this idea right now that to get to that 1,000, you easily can do it right now, because if you look right here on this slide that I'm doing, you already have an embedded network to get to that. So I challenge everyone that's trying to start to get to their new, 1,000 followers or connections on LinkedIn. Go through your friends that are professionally oriented, but your friends. Start there. Your family members on LinkedIn, connect with them too. Start with members of other organizations that you're in, like your sorority, your fraternity, your service organization. Add them. Your classmates or alum, which we're going to show you how to reach out to alum, add them. And then lastly, the faculty members that you rock with. If you start with there, you will get to that 1,000. You'll get to that 1,000 quality connections rather than just a sheer number. Now, I have set an ambitious goal to have 10,000 connections by the end of this calendar year, but I did it with strategy and connected. Similarly, I'm still being very thoughtful of who I connect with, or when I do things, who's connecting with me to get to that number. I don't want to sacrifice the quality of my connections to get to that 10K. I want to have 10K engaged connections that actually respond to my post, or like my post, or follow me, or like I like their post and I follow their post. So I think that's a roundabout answer at saying yes and is both, right? You want to have a threshold and get to good connections, but not at the sacrifice of quality and engaged connections.
Quality over quantity,
Right.
for sure. Yes. So our next few mostly were how to use LinkedIn to network, and more specifically,
Yes.
what the etiquette is for sending requests to people you don't know personally, and is it polite to message hiring managers to ask about your future at that organization, or if there's any jobs currently being posted there.
All right. So with that being said, yes, but also like never, like you're never going to ask anyone for a job, not even the hiring managers. You're asking for information. So let me make that explicitly clear. So let's say for hiring managers, right? I go to jobs, I go to, I don't know, UX designer. I can see about this job. I can see this person out of the premium, right? So if I have the premium, if that's worth it, I can actually message that person and say something like, hi, I see that via LinkedIn that you're the hiring manager. I'm interested in learning more. But that's a benefit for a premium. Okay. But let's say I don't have the premium. I don't have this meet the hiring team, right? What I can do is also go like this. Who works there? How many connections already work there? You see that? They're like underneath it. Or it also says school alumni work here. Maybe I'll do the school alumni. So now this is taking me directly to link the people page with Amazon. They have the connection to George Mason. Why don't we do this? Second connection. Okay, so it filters, right? So that means there's only one person in between us, right? But let's add some more filters, right? We can add where they live, and we can add their industry. Maybe let's say media. And we can say show results. So all these people are doing things, area manager, all these different software engineer, Amazon, right? Now I can use that information. I go to Jad first, click on him. I read his profile, how long he's an engineer. He was at Cap One. He got a master's degree in computer science, undergrad in computer science. These are some of the projects. Now, mind you, this can also help me. Like, dang, I need to do some projects like this guy, or I need a volunteer. Oh, that's a volunteer place. I never heard of this. Volunteer means that they need people rather than, maybe I can hook up with Code Connects, right? See, I'm using him. Oh, these are the classes he took, right? Now I hit connect, add a note. Good afternoon, Jad. I am a fellow GMU student, and I am interested in learning about careers at Amazon. I see that you have a, a lot of volunteer experience at whatever the name of that place was. A lot of experience. Was it Code Connect or something? Code Connect. I'll just make it up. Code Connect, whatever. If you don't know. Um, uh, would you be open to a conversation about your experience at GMU and how you got to Amazon? So, point is, at no point in this conversation did I ask him for a job.
Mhm.
That's one of the etiquette. Two of the etiquette is I made direct references to a question that was directly referenced to something I saw in his profile, whether it was about a volunteer experience, or maybe you look on his profile and you see that he's, you know, proficient in HTML, maybe saying, is this language is necessary? Did you teach yourself something? Some kind of call to action. And then I hit the send note. Worst case scenario, he don't respond to me. I don't care. I don't lose no sleep. Best case scenario is that this gentleman does respond to me, but we have a meaningful conversation and he doesn't feel like I'm trying to scam him or get over on him. I'm actually asking him questions that I believe we can work, I can learn, right?
Mhm.
Another thing from that conversation too is understand the agency that you have when you reach out. One of the things is this is a building relationship platform and not just a gimme platform. So maybe you can say, for me in my role at Career Services, I could like, oh wow, I also like would love to, have you as a guest on a panel or something. Like I can offer him something, right? Like, a way to recruit students or so. I have something I can bring to the table. But maybe as a active job seeker, you can say, I'm really good at graphics. I can make quick Canva graphics. You can offer something like, if there's any way I can help you, let me know. Now, another strategy that I used to source, that was directly to the hiring manager one or that organization, is also the same way is I utilize the alumni tab all the time. So I go to George Mason. So I go to George Mason University. I go to their school page. I go to alumni. I source the alumni that are probably within the past 10 years. So I edit that. And then I make filters to find people that align with me. So we'll say, I'm just going to use UX design because that's been something on top of my mind. UX designer. So what? It went to 400, right? Now I'm going to like this. What do they do or what are they good at? They're skilled at user experience. They have a skill in that. You can say, I like the second. That means first means we're already connected. Second means there's only one person in between us. And then let's say, where do they work or where they live? The DC area. Let's stick in the DMV. 66 meets that search criteria. Boom. Look at all these wonderful people. Same thing. I click on her. Look at where she's at. Graphic designer, design while freelance. She's doing some great stuff. Freelance. She got her certificate. UX certificate. Hi. Connect. Good afternoon, Wayne. I am exploring the UX field. I see you got a UX certificate. Can you tell me more about the program you completed? Was it worth the cost? Have a nice day. Boom. Once again, I went through it. Some of the things to think about in regards to that etiquette, always, include a salutation. Don't just say, hey, hello, address the person by their preferred name, obviously, preferred name as you see on their LinkedIn profile. Introduce yourself of who you are, you're a student, staff member, whatever. And then be very intentional and purposeful. Like, why did you reach out to them? What did you see on their profile that was attractive? And I think that will help you build relationships. And then next time, maybe do an informational interview, like, and make it easy for them. Like, here, I would love to have a coffee with you over Zoom or something like that.
Awesome. Yes, that alumni tab is so helpful and one that I didn't know about either personally. So I'm stoked to be able to use that to enhance my own connections that are on LinkedIn. And we have a question about international students because there's a
Yes.
large percentage of our student staff are international. So does any of this advice change for our international student staff?
It doesn't change, but I think the strategy and being more strategic. So one, when you go to the jobs tab, we'll talk about this. I think we have that other. Do we buy that platform yet? Where you're gonna do a parallel search. So make sure you use LinkedIn to look at positions internationally. Two, I think I still use the alumni tab to connect. I don't know if you can assume, but connect with people that I guess appear via profile to be international students for informational interviews. I think, we know a lot about community is that international students learn from other international students. And so also international students learn from international alum. How did this alum get to a space that I want to get into? So leveraging LinkedIn could be very helpful for that. So that alumni tab. And maybe, like I said, your questions are going to be different. You be very authentic, like look it up. Like, and I think the reason, like, let's not say like two ways, two strategies. Let's say share. Okay. So one is date posted filters. Where is this position at globally? You know what I'm saying? We can is it jobs? Let me see jobs. All right, let me see. Then go to all filters. Da, 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 da. I wonder if I can add more locations. Why is not showing more? Job functions, benefits, in your network. It's not showing me international locations. So what we want to have to do is go either, I'll do either this one. One thing that helps is either I'll do remote or hybrid. See if that helps because remote jobs might be able to be done anywhere. That's a helpful thing to do. Or, like I said, what I see sometimes too is finding people that were like me. So George Mason University, alumni, uh, alumni, let's say computer science. So right now, they're all here in the States. That's just the top 10 or the companies. I'm gonna try to see something. I'm gonna say, what do they study? What are they skilled at? Python. Uh, what do they study? I'm gonna do computer science again. And this is gonna be very stereotypical. So actively looking, that's not gonna work because that means they're looking like me. So pursuing student. I'm trying to find someone that actually has a job and then see if they went to school internationally.
Mhm.
So, okay, full time, let's see. Boom. So I'm assuming this is a university in another country, right? Let's click on it. Make sure that we don't make assumptions. Don't want to make assumptions. Yes, there's another country. I don't know the name of it. I think it's India. Name, engineering school. KL University. India. All right. So they went to undergrad in India. They got their master's and they completed it in 2020. Now, teacher's assistant. So assuming they got some experience, I'm gonna do two things with this profile. I'm gonna look and see, wow, this person actually also got teacher assistant positions or got some experience in the classroom. That's probably a big help, right? Um, they did internships. I saw where they went. That's a big help to see where they went, like me. And then now they got a full-time job on site at FedEx. So now I connect, but I'm going to add a note. And guess what? Do you think this person can get me a job? No. This person is going to give me information. I see you, you went to a study, you studied your undergrad abroad and currently are getting your master's. I'm in the same journey. And I want to learn, like, what was some of your experience of getting a full-time job in the United States? What tips would you have for me? But you're going to build that connection and you're going to say that you looked at their profile to identify that they went to a university in a different country. Also, but at the same time, what I say with that strategy is that you're not putting that person on pressure to have all the answers. Like you're not gonna say, "Hey, thank you, you got a job, get me a job too." They don't have that authority, or that puts them in like that puts them in an uncomfortable. I would hate to like someone reach out to me and like already off the break, I can't help them. It makes me feel bad, right? Like get me a job at Mason. I don't have authority to get you a job, but I can talk to you about my job. I can tell you how I got my job. I can share information. I have the bandwidth and the agency to do that. So if you're an international student, ask questions, but also understand that what's the agency like? The people that you're asking for help, they are not might not have the opportunity to hire you, but they can share their experience. They have that ability to do that, share how they got their job or tips that they can share with you or share their experience about, yeah, I think one of the first things you should do is try to be a teacher's assistant because that allows you to work with a faculty member more intimately. Da 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 da. So that would be my suggestion to kind of still take the same strategies, but be a little bit more targeted as an international student.
Wonderful. Our last question of the day is how can LinkedIn help me set my long-term career goals?
I mean, it's kind of going, like I said, do the reverse engineering, know your destination, and use LinkedIn to benchmark. I mean, I do this all the time. Let's say this, right? Like, I don't know if it's up here. Um, Look at someone you admire, a job. I'm just gonna go like that again. Like, find mentors, right? This is my mentor, Lewis, right? Now, one, the way I can set my long-term goals is set him up, ask him to be my mentor, talk to him. But at bare minimum, you can look at their blueprint and see, okay, what do I need to do to become like Lewis, become an assistant dean? Okay, I need to make sure I learn this course, right? So that's one. I look at his skills that he has. All right, I think community outreach. How can I get the experiences and skills in community outreach? Look at the project that he did. Like, can I do something similar or contribute to the project that he did? What is his educational or certificates that this gentleman has? They have all these different certificates, leadership program, all these programs. So and then I look at their straight up job experience and I can use that person's profile and their experience to do long-term and short-term goal setting. So look at their profiles too, not just to connect with them, but look at it as like a blueprint or rubric. Like obviously you're not going to do the same exact path as someone else, but you can adapt and see what in their journey or career journey could you adapt and make applicable to you. And that's how I do it. And then set goals by the year off of that. Goal one would be like, oh, I see that certificate. I need to get that certificate on my own. Maybe some of them are like certificates that I can learn on my own on LinkedIn Learning. And I set a metric to that. Maybe one of them is like to be a certain level, I need, like we say, long-term goals, I need a certain master's degree. So you look and you see everyone that's in the industry that you want to do has a master's. Well, then step one is to get a master's, right? And so using people's profiles to build out your career plan is a great way to do it passively. I'd say a more active way is connect with them and then turn it into informational interviews and ask questions. So you can use both of those ways to do that.
Well, and that was our last question that we had, but is there anything else that you would like to share that we haven't covered yet for our students?
Yes, do not wait to create. You know, as I said, I'm gonna send Kaylee the branding worksheet to fill out all your experiences first before you get started, and the LinkedIn worksheet. If you're watching this video later, just DM me or email me at pwilkers.gmu.edu, pwilkers@gmu, and I'll send you the forms that the materials that I'm sharing. Don't wait to create. And then, as I said, like not gamify it, but simplify it. Start small. Like starting small would be like one post a week or one new connection a week. Um, you know, like I said, set those metrics. I want to get to at least 1,000 connections, but of substance, not a crazy number, like 1,000. I guarantee that within a calendar year, everyone that's watching this video can get to at least 1,000. If you started with zero, whatever, to 1,000, that's a manageable number. It gets harder to add connections as you get higher. Like from 5,000 to 6,000 is hard, but from your first 1,000, you know, 0 to 1,000, it's just you getting started and setting the foundation. You easily can get that from your classmates and all that, adding people around you, adding people when you go to the career fair. So those would be my last points. Update your profile and start building connections um, at your speed. And if you have any questions, you know where to find me. Holla at me.
Yes, well, thank you so much for taking the time to share all of your expert LinkedIn advice with us this afternoon. I know I learned a lot, and I know all of our students will as well. So thank you so much again.
Excellent. Thank you. And you know, obviously for those watching this now or watching it later, happy to help, as I said.